Alright, once we move up from our base layer to our mid layers, this is where there's a lot of choice and a lot of variables in what you can choose to wear. So it really is dependent on what the weather conditions you're likely to expect. But primarily there are three types of mid layers, if you will, that I will discuss, and they all have their pros and cons. So the biggest debate is whether or not, well, for instance, this is 100% polyester fleece, dual layered, so it's a double thickness. It's kind of like a jack shirt, snaps up the front. It's very comfortable and very warm. But right next door to it is the Canadian Army Combat Shirt, which is 100%, well, actually I think it's only 80% wool, but it's like a heavy wool blanket type material and also very effective. So which one is better? Well, I don't know if it's that easy to say. They both have their pros and cons. Certainly a lot of traditionalists will tell you that wool is better because wool will retain a high percentage of its insulative value even when wet, up to a point, of course. Well, that's true, but so does polyester, quite honestly, folks. Polyester will also retain insulative value up to a certain point when it is wet. However, polyester has a benefit, or a couple of benefits, but one of them is that it will dry much quicker. It dries quicker, and you might argue that maybe that is a benefit over wool in that you can get it dry quicker when you're sitting next to the fire, and therefore you get the full insulative qualities back quicker. Having said that, sitting next to the fire, I'd sooner be wearing wool, quite honestly, because wool will resist the embers from burning holes. That same little ember which will may glow on the outside of this wool shirt for a few seconds before going out will likely burn a hole right through this polyester. But folks, I paid $2.99 for this, and I paid $2.99 for this. It's not that I want to risk destroying my clothing, the stuff that I enjoy wearing. It's just that I don't feel I have an investment that is going to make me too concerned about it. If I'm building a fire, I will probably wear the wool. If I'm not building a fire or building a very small fire, I'll likely wear the polyester, both of which are very effective at insulating. One of the things that, though, is that wool will normally be more durable, so it'll last you longer. So if you are investing in something new, or you can find a really good value like I do when I thrift shop, the wool is something that will probably be more durable over the long term. However, at $2.99, even if this did wear out, which is not likely to, I can afford to replace that quite readily. So what I'm going to show you is just some choices. This is not definitive by any means, and it is really, again, dependent on the weather, which ones I'll wear, and I do have a lot of other choices. This also is a polyester fleece pullover style, and it's very effective. This was purchased for me as a gift from Mark's Work Wearhouse, although I have seen them in the thrift stores as well. All of the things that I'm showing you I have worn at one point or another during my videos. This is very effective mid-layer. Now, you know, a thing about mid-layers is I may or not be wearing them when I'm in the woods, but I will always take something with me. And what I mean by that is if I'm moving through the woods and there's a lot of activity, I'm likely going to be generating quite a bit of body heat. And there's an old adage that says, you know, you should be comfortably cold when you're working, and that's true, because if you're too cold, well, yes, you won't be effective and you risk hypothermia, but if you're too warm, you're going to perspire and then you risk hypothermia from the moisture that you build up in your clothing. So this is a polyester sweater that I wear quite often, and I find very effective at doing its job. Nice thing is, with the layered system that we're talking about, the base layers in this, I can either put it on or take it off, depending on how hard I'm working. Right next to this is a couple of vests, both of which I've worn in videos. The one on the left is just a fleece vest. It is a Cabela's brand vest, and it's a good quality vest, quite honestly. I like vests because they will do core temperature, maintain my core temperature without giving me too much bulk under my arms and wearing in jackets. And the one on the right is a Kelty brand, which is a fleece vest as well, zip-up vest. It does have a nylon wind-breaking front on it, which is can be quite nice to have as well, and I can wear that sometimes just over a shirt depending on the weather conditions. All of these things purchased under $5. So this is what I'm suggesting, is that you can find quality equipment from quality manufacturers at relatively low prices if you shop in the thrift stores or watch the value sales. Now, other choices for mid layers are sweaters. So this is, again, just a small, folks, it's kind of embarrassing. I have a collection of wool sweaters that I've picked up secondhand, and just something I like to do, but they're all functional, they're all things that I'll wear in the outdoors, but I just wanted to bring you a couple of choices that you can see that you can wear as mid-layers. One of the things about wool sweaters is they can be very warm, and at the same time they can allow moisture to move out through them because they will breathe and not hold the moisture in too tightly. So this is a great wool sweater. It's a rib knit wool. Now what that means is that it will stretch to conform to my body, giving me some closeness, but not too close or not too tight. And insulative value is all about how much air you can trap. So wool is one of those fabrics that will trap a lot of air because of the hollow fibers that are in the material of the wool, and it will trap the air in there, and that's what your body will heat up and maintain heat. Now there's more to it than that. We're talking about a layering system, so you'll have to have some way of keeping that heat within that layer, which we'll talk about in the exterior layers. This one is especially suited to outdoor use because what you can see is at the shoulders and at the elbows are the leather patches. So this is nice for wearing, in that if you're wearing this as an outer layer because you're moving and you're trying to not to build up too much heat, the leather patches on this will prevent wear from backpack straps. This also is a traditional Nordic outdoor sweater. It is made in Norway. This was marketed by LL Bean. It still is today. The 100% wool Nordic style sweater, proven traditional type of sweater. Also purchased for under $6. I think I paid $5.99 for this and likely $4.99 for that. But if you know the value of a good wool sweater, you'll know what kind of a deal I came across. This also is a 100% wool sweater. This is made in PEI, Canada by a small knitting firm, and I have seen these sweaters sell for close to $300. And I paid $5.99 for this, and it was virtually brand new. And it's a little larger than my normal size would be, but it comes down nice and long, goes down over my hips, and provides a lot of insulative value. Final sweater in the collection is a Canadian military sweater, and this would have been naval issue. It is 100% merino wool. It is a V-neck, so it is meant more of a dress-up sweater, but still it can be used very effectively for the outdoors because I likely wear a scarf or a neck gaiter, which I'll show you in a few moments' time. Now, the thing about wool sweaters, you need to look them over very carefully, not just to make sure that they're in good condition, but also what if any, rehabilitation you need to do to them. A few of these sweaters, actually not the ones you're looking at, maybe this one, the LL Bean Nordic sweater, I had to use a small, what they call a sweater shaver. It looks like an electric razor a guy might use, but it's intended for shaving all the pilled wool off of the outside of the sweater. I've also washed all of these sweaters, and I know that a lot of people have concerns about washing wool and preventing shrink, or that it will shrink. I found that wasn't the case. What I did is just laid it in the bathtub, poured boiling water over it, used Dawn dish detergent because it's very effective at cleaning but not removing all the natural oils that wool have as one of their benefit qualities. And each of these sweaters were washed that way with no shrinkage, no deformation, or changes to the quality of the sweater whatsoever. So those are four of the sweaters that I use, and I'll carry these either wearing them or carrying them with me in my backpack to put on when I stop moving if I need to for an extra layer of warmth. And finally, this is a pair of mid-weight fleece long johns, if you will. They're a mid-layer. They're also from Mountain Equipment Co-op. They're 100% fleece. They are designed to go over one of the base layers. You can see I have one of the legs folded up over so that I can take them on and off. Supposedly you could do that over your boots, although I haven't tried that yet. It's a mid-layer that will give you some options. If you're getting too warm, you could take them off and go down to your base layer, or if it's really cold, you have this as a mid-layer. Again, I think these were literally $1.99. So again, a good quality material, gives you some options. You can have choices but still save a lot of money. Now I have a couple more mid layers I want to show you before I go to the outer layers, but they kind of fit into a different category, so stand by for that. Now, this can be considered either a mid layer or an outer layer, depending on the conditions. If it's dry, I'm not expecting snow or precipitation of any type, this might be a layer that I will wear without an outer layer on top of it. However, more often than not, these are carried in my backpack because they will compress so small and provide me that level of insulation I need after I stop moving, after I stop preparing a campfire or whatever activity is that's likely to generate heat. then I'll throw one of these on. So the first one, this was purchased new. This was purchased at Canadian Tire. It is a polyester hoodie that zips up high and goes right up under my chin. But I did get it at half price because everything seems to go on sale there sooner or later. But boy, this will pack down into something not much bigger than a football. So it does come with a little stuff sack, in fact, that allows you to stuff it into. And that's great because then I can either hang it on the outside of my backpack or my shoulder bag, depending on how long a duration of hike and how much I'm packing out, or I can go in without taking up a whole lot of space. And I suppose it would also could act as a pillow if I'm not using it during an overnighter. This is a vest I've owned for a long time. This was purchased brand new at Mountain Equipment Co-op. It is a down vest. It is 100% down, and I have to tell you folks, this is warm and comfortable and really nice to wear. And down is exactly that. It is probably, for its weight, it is the warmest material that you can likely find and wear. However, it does have its downsides. It's very light, it is very warm, but it is very susceptible to moisture. So moisture moving out through your body could manifest the down. Maybe for a few hours that's okay, but the longer you wear it, the more it becomes saturated with wetness and loses its effectiveness, and boy, it takes forever to dry. This was purchased through a gift certificate that was given to me. I can't remember if it was a birthday or a Christmas one year, a number of years ago, but it has been very durable and well worth the investment. Well-known outdoor brand North Face, 100% down. I believe this is the 600 fill. Let's have a look. 700 fill down jacket. Now this jacket is designed to be also a liner jacket for something likely one of their Gore-Tex jackets. This was purchased secondhand for $5.99. It is 100% down. It was in good shape. I think I had one tiny pinhole that I had to cover up with a piece of tape, and it has served me very well. This will roll down and fit inside of its own pocket. That's what I'm talking about, compressibility. So this makes an excellent layer that if I'm on the move and it's cold out and I've stopped and I need to get warmed up or put something on to preserve my body heat that I've generated while moving, this is something that if it's a cold day out that I may pull out and put on as opposed to one of the other layers. If there's no precipitation expected, then I may wear this by itself, but it will lose heat because it is not windproof. None of these layers are windproof. Wind resistant, but not windproof. So the wind will convectively take away some of the heat, and maybe that's a good thing if you're overheating, but you want to preserve as much heat as possible. So this can be considered either an outer layer if the weather is good, or another level of mid layer if the weather is bad. But again, it's not my first choice because down, even though it's compressible and packable, it does get laden with moisture over time, but still, high quality equipment at a very affordable price, and that is the point here. All right, outer layers.